Welcome into Boxing Scene Today in the ProBox TV studios. We always say, as it makes news, we will talk about it. Well, Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney for the WBO title is going to be absolutely huge later on this year in a mega card in Saudi Arabia. Looks like it's going down. To help me break it out, Jimmy Smith in studio alongside the champ, Chris Algieri, and of course, Robert Garcia, the coach, with all the technique. Before we even get started, one of the worst things that I hate coming out of a fan's mouth is got nothing to lose. This guy's a world champion. You got nothing to lose. In fight sports, you have something to lose. Jin Sasaki, of course, knocked out by Brian Norman Jr. Highlight reel, knockout of the year type stuff. He lost, Chris, 6 weeks of memory.
Scary.
He doesn't remember the fight being signed. He doesn't remember the opportunity. He doesn't remember getting in the ring. Boom, 6 weeks gone. These people, boxers, you did it. I did it in MMA. You risk your health and your life, and you can't ever forget that.
Only non-fighters say that. You have nothing to lose.
Thank you.
But
yes.
Haney also has the O to lose because the Ryan Garcia fight was expunged from his record. So he's still undefeated. He still has an O. Yes, we all saw him lose the fight, but it has been removed based on head scandal. So yes, there are a lot of things to lose here for Devin Haney in this tough fight. But even before all that, just pinch me. Am I dreaming?
You're here.
Is this fight actually going to happen? This is wild. I mean,
thanks for jinxing it, but go ahead.
You know, I wish Paulie was here so we could talk trash about Devin Haney not fighting anybody, because now I can put in his face that, listen, he's going after the big fights. Hey, he wanted that Teofimo Lopez fight. It doesn't seem like it was Devin Haney that didn't make that fight happen. Now you got Devin Haney who's saying, I'm going to go for Brian Norman, who we all now realize is number one at welterweight. Now that Boots has left the building, or left the weight class. So yeah, Devin Haney's going for the toughest fight. That's what you want from a fighter. And now, yes, I agree with what Paulie has said in the past about Devin picking and choosing, fighting a lot of older fighters. Okay, a lot of people do that. Is he at the age now where they're just going to unleash him? And it's like, all right, reins are off. We got to fight everybody. It is what it is. You want to be this guy that you have been shown yourself to be? You got to fight these tough fights, and Brian Norm's a tough fight.
When you look at it stylistically, Coach, you know Devin Haney's style. You know what he does. A good technical boxer, but coming off a less than impressive win in his Times Square fight the last time out, this is a big step up if it does happen later this year.
Big step up, big fight for him. A lot that he has to prove the world, and I think we're gonna get the best out of Haney. I think we're gonna get the best Haney out there. Norman is a dangerous opponent, and I think that's gonna bring the best out of Haney. I can't wait for the fight. Actually, we've seen Norman take care of business pretty not easy because they're fights, but convincingly knocking guys out, hurting people. He beat my guy in a way I never expected it to be. So he's doing his job. But against Haney, the fight's gonna be a great fight. Haney, I give credit to Haney for taking this fight at this moment. And I just can't wait, man. It's November is gonna can't wait, because it's gonna be a great month for a great fight of boxing.
What I'm curious about, and I want to ask you, Coach Chris, of course, I want your opinion on it. Advice I have heard is when someone's knocked down a lot, or they're knocked out or something like that, hit them with power anywhere. Remind them of that feeling of, power's coming out. Get them a little gun shy. Brian Norman Jr. has that kind of power. There's still a lot of question marks. Obviously, since the Garcia fight where he's knocked down 3 times, wasn't knocked out, but knocked down 3 times, about how he handles a power puncher. Coach, if you were in charge of Brian Norman Jr., do you say, hey, I don't care if you hit him on his elbow, hit him with something early to remind him of that power, get him a little gun shy? Is that good advice to you?
No, that's 100% good advice. He's got to land anywhere, wherever he lands, and that will bring Haney's attention and Haney's problem with getting hurt, and the way he fought Jose Ramirez was very cautious, very very careful. I think that was instructions from his dad, and he followed instructions. But the reason I like this fight is because Norman has been looking so strong and so powerful against the guys that are in front of him, that are standing in front of him. But now he's gonna have a boxer. He's gonna have a mover guy with good footwork, with good speed, and good. Haney knows how to use his reach. So that's what makes the fight so interesting. That's what makes the fight so close where we don't know who to pick. Honestly, I'm leaning towards Haney pulling out the decision.
Is it because that Haney has more? Is that the question? He can just do a little bit more than normal?
Even before I answer that, Jimmy, I just want to say I love having you on here, Robert, because anytime you say something that I was thinking about, I know I'm on the right page. Because I'm thinking,
He's only one of the world's greatest coaches. You know that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking about this fight getting announced yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, man, this is we were talking about this off air. I'm kind of surprised that these guys are taking, or that Haney's taking this fight now. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, Norman's looked real good these last couple fights. But he didn't look real good those couple fights before that. I called a lot of his fights on his own card for Top Rank, and it was kind of like, yeah, he's winning, but he's not performing to the Top Rank standard. And Santillan, that was your guy, right, Robert?
Yes,
and
correct.
he was looking really good. I called a lot of those fights as well. And he was looking really good, really coming on, really got really good momentum. And I don't know, it felt like to me that Santillan was the A side. He was going in there to beat Brian Norman, and Brian Norman puts on the performance that he put on. I was like, oof, man. But Santillan's a guy. He's right in front of you. He's a volume puncher, not a huge puncher. He's there to be hit. Jin Sasaki, he is in your grill. He is right in front of you, winging wide shots. So you've got these wins over those particular guys. I have to think that Team Haney, who's always very smart in the way they maneuver their fighter, sees that there's a space for him to be outboxed, to fight at length, use blistering hand speed, fight at range, use good footwork, and have the gas tank that Devin has. Because what happens with Brian Norman rounds 8 through 12? That's where championships are won. And I'm with you, Robert. I'm leaning towards Devin Haney going out there and putting on a boxing exhibition.
All right, we were talking, because all we do is talk about boxing. Let's be honest. Before we were on camera, we were talking about the 84 Olympics, which I'm old enough to remember. Chris is not.
I am not. I was born that year, literally.
Thanks. Anyway, I was 7, but anyway. But this idea that we were talking about Sweet Pea Whitaker, right? The idea, Coach, and I want to ask you this. He was a defensive specialist, but he didn't fight scared. No. He wasn't running. He was setting you up for counters. Is it a fine line between, as you said, fighting a cautious fight like he did against Ramirez and fighting that good defensive fight that he needs to fight against Brian Norman Jr.? Is that a thing you really have to specialize in the gym?
Yes, and I think with Haney, it's a good thing that he fought too cautious against Jose, because he would do the same against Norman. Norman is a dangerous guy, and he's definitely not gonna, Pernell Whitaker wasn't afraid to get hit. He was there. He was so good defensively and so good at what he did that he wasn't afraid. Haney, he goes into the ring. He's a boxer. I can't say afraid. He's just too cautious. And I think his dad makes it even. Brings a lot to it when giving instructions. Move, counterpunch, move, stay on the outside, stand there, and that's his instructions. And I think that's what's gonna benefit him for this fight. The dad's gonna continue reminding him to stand the outside, to use that jab, use those long punches, and that's why I think he's gonna take a lot of rounds and I pick him by decision.
But here's a question I have for you, Chris. One of the things, as a fan of Sweet Pea, is very frustrating. You could argue he didn't have a legitimate loss until Trinidad. You could argue, if you're a fan, which I am.
Way past his prime.
Right, way past his prime. This idea, it's easy to rob a guy who's on the outside. If you take the center, that's the easiest thing for the judges to see. If you're Brian Norman Jr., can you win rounds by just being the bully in the center, even if you're maybe not landing as cleanly as you should be? Is that the danger?
Well, I have an issue with judging in general, because
we all do.
Guys
yes.
don't, and mine's a little bit different, because I don't think they are knowledgeable enough to see what a good boxer's doing. The feints, the footwork, the angle changes, the ability to control range, what ring generalship is, which is part of the scoring criteria. I don't think these judges even know what that means.
Yes.
And you see that oftentimes. You have someone who's on the outside boxing really well. They still give the rounds to the guy who's coming forward, especially different jurisdictions depending on where the fights are and what commission is involved. There is that, but I think this fight's going to be under the microscope because it's just a big fight. So it's going to be overly scrutinized in terms of judging and referees and everything going into the fight. Really, really interesting fight. We're all talking about Pernell Whitaker and Devin Haney. You know what the difference is? Whiskers. Yeah. Pernell Whitaker had a chin and a half on him. So he wasn't concerned if he did make the wrong move and got clipped. And he did quite a bit. He did get hit quite a bit, especially later in his career. But his chin was great. He didn't get wobbled like that. If you see with Devin, especially at 135 where he's really struggling. Linares hit him, wobbled him, sent him back to his corner. Ryan obviously dropped him a bunch of times. He's been hurt. He's been touched. He's been rattled in fights. So him, in terms of taking risks to stay in the pocket, you don't see that as much. Although we saw it against Lomachenko. I was very impressed with Devin Haney in the Lomachenko fight. He fought on the inside, did really good body work, wasn't moving, wasn't flighty, stood his ground, but also he was so big at 35, Lomachenko not. That's not going to be the case here with Brian Norman.
So, Coach, this idea with Boots Ennis moving up to 154 pounds, a wide up on 147, is the winner of this fight a future star in a storied division that has a legacy of superstars? Is the winner of this fight the guy?
I think the winner of this fight is the guy at welterweight. There's no other, if Pacquiao beats Barrios, Pacquiao comes back as a champion. He's obviously the biggest name. But when it comes to us, real boxing fans, I think the winner of Norman versus Haney will be the guy at welterweight.
Will he, and I'm asking you this, Chris, will he be the winner be compared to Boots Ennis for the next couple of years? Is there a little bit of a shadow there? Or do you think that they come out as the guy pretty quickly?
No, I don't know. I think Boots is still a lot more of this chapter of his career needs to be written. He was the guy. He unified the two belts, but he didn't completely become undisputed. So his legacy at 47 is not quite that lofty yet that they're going to be compared no matter what. And I think that down the line, I think the future we're going to see a Brian Norman Boots fight revisited as Norman's young. He's big 47. He's growing into that weight class. I think Boots is going to be at 54 for a bit, so we could revisit that fight. I don't know how much discussion or interest there is in a Haney Boots fight. Again, Haney's coming up from 135 pounds. He's in his third weight
Boots
class
is huge.
now. Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, Haney's a big guy. Don't get me wrong. I've been around I haven't not been around Brian Norman actually, but I've been around Boots and Haney. Haney's a big guy, nowhere near as big as Boots, but he was ready for welterweight, and I think this is a good move for him, and I think we're going to see that come fight night. But regardless, I'm excited that this fight's being announced. I'm excited that we're going to be talking about this fight. I'm excited that we're going to be analyzing this fight as we get closer to it, and I agree with Robert. I think this is a really good competitive fight.
Last thing I have for you, Robert, whenever we talk about Brian Norman Jr. in the last year or so, whenever we bring him up here on this show, what we hear is, well, he's young, he's still developing. He's young, he's still developing. From what you saw against Jin Sasaki, how close is he to his prime, and what do you think his ceiling is?
Well, he is young, but he's already up there. He's already there where he's already showing the best out of him, and what he's doing with his opponents, he's definitely beating them. Obviously top ranked. They're picking the right opponents, guys that come to him. With this fight, it's going to be a challenge for him, and I will be. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch to see how he performs against the boxer because the last couple of fights they've done the right job. Big guys that come to him. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see this fight.
Well, if it doesn't happen, by the way, I have no problem at all laying all that blame on Chris Algieri for jinxing. That's what we're going to do. But for Chris Algieri, Jimmy Smith, Coach Robert Garcia, thank you so much for watching here at Pro Box TV. And as it makes news, it'll be on Boxing Scene Today. Join us. Find out why millions are watching. It's your fault.
It's going to happen.
It's your fault.